All right, let's jump straight into this explainer. If you're importing Pakistani Basmati into the US, you already know the drill. Selecting the right variety isn't just about personal taste. It's a make or break financial decision that dictates your retail acceptance and, frankly, your wholesale margins. So today, we're breaking down the exact data you need to make the smartest call for your business. It really boils down to one massive question. Are you selling visual luxury or heritage aroma? Because the reality is, your retail success hinges entirely on whether your end consumer cares more about how the rice looks on their dining plate or the sensory nostalgia it brings to their kitchen. It's not about which rice is universally better. It's about deeply understanding your buyer's behavior. And look, choosing the wrong grain for your specific market isn't just a culinary oops, it's a very expensive mistake. We're talking about a steep $150 to $250 per metric ton price difference between these two basmati titans. Put that into perspective. A standard 20-foot shipping container holds roughly 24 to 26 metric tons. That FOB price gap, it translates into a massive swing in your landed costs and your ability to compete at retail. To help you navigate this, we've got a solid roadmap for today's explainer. We'll quickly cover the premium market divide, meet our two contenders, compare their hard specs, map out coast-to-coast preferences, build an actionable sourcing framework, and finally talk about choosing the right export partner. First up, let's tackle the premium market divide and understand the exact segments driving this demand. The U.S. market essentially splits into two completely different camps. On one side, you have premium supermarkets, gourmet stores, and private label buyers. For them, it's all about visual shelf appeal. The grain absolutely has to look stunning in transparent packaging. But on the flip side, traditional ethnic retail buyers, like South Asian grocery stores and halal markets, are heavily focused on authentic aroma, heritage, and value pricing. You simply cannot treat these two channels with a one-size-fits-all approach. Moving right along, let's officially meet the contenders. Let's put these two heavyweights head-to-head. We've got the visual powerhouse that is 1121 Basmati going up against the authentic, heritage favorite Super Kernel. Now, both are cultivated in Punjab, Pakistan, and both are premium grades, but they serve entirely different psychological and culinary needs for the consumer. Let's lay the groundwork with 1121 Basmati. This is an extra-long grain aromatic rice, and private label importers in the U.S. absolutely clamor for it. Why? Because consumers literally compare grain length with their eyes before tossing a transparent bag into their cart. 1121 dominates the commercial space because it delivers that luxury appearance while still giving exporters really consistent milling recovery. Okay, let's transition into comparing the specifications and see how the numbers actually impact your margins. The physical difference after cooking is actually wild. 1121 expands up to a whopping 22 millimeters in length, whereas Super Kernel tops out around 16. That extreme elongation leaves a super striking, luxurious impression on the plate. It literally takes up more visual space, which is exactly why high-end restaurants and fine dining caterers absolutely demand 1121 for their plating. Now, where's the margin advantage? It's hiding right there in the FOB Karachi price. 1121 commands a premium, anywhere from $1,050 to $1,350 per metric ton, because of that luxury length, and its 8.30 to 8.50 millimeter raw size. But Super Kernel? That drops your price down significantly to the $850 to $1,100 range. So Super Kernel provides a massive margin advantage for price-sensitive wholesale channels. Plus, it actually beats out 1121 in the aroma category, delivering a very strong traditional fragrance compared to 1121's medium-high profile. And we can't forget about logistics. 1121 Golden Sella is basically a tank. The parboiling process hardens the grain, giving it way higher breakage resistance and an impressive 18 to 24 month shelf life. This makes it incredibly stable for long distribution routes and sitting in humid U.S. warehouses. Super Kernel White, on the other hand, avoids aggressive thermal treatment to keep that strong aroma intact. But that means it only offers a 12 to 18 month shelf life, so you're going to need much faster inventory turnover. So with those specs in mind, let's map out these coast-to-coast preferences. Geography plays a huge role here. Out west, think California, Washington, Oregon, visual appeal is king. Upscale supermarkets and fusion cuisine demand the visual differentiation and extreme elongation that 1121 brings to the table. Out there, the packaging presentation heavily influences grocery sales. Plus, the white and golden Sella grades photograph absolutely perfectly for online gourmet retail and e-commerce. But flip over to the East Coast and the game completely changes. In states like New York and New Jersey, you have very dense South Asian populations. These diaspora consumers prioritize sensory memory over sheer grain length. They instantly recognize the heritage name Super Kernel. The aroma is a perfect match for traditional home cooking and biryani. For these specific buyers, flavor memory is what drives a repeat purchase, not a couple of extra millimeters of length. Let's turn all this data into an actual sourcing decision framework. How do you execute on this? It breaks down pretty cleanly based on your demographic. Launching a premium supermarket private label? You absolutely need 1121 Stame or Golden Cella to justify those higher shelf prices through pure visual differentiation. Supplying ethnic grocery stores? Go with Super Kernel White to lock in those traditional repeat buyers. Need to hit a budget-conscious retail program? Super Kernel Cella is going to lower your FOB cost. Honestly, many of the most successful U.S. distributors maximize their market coverage by just stocking both. Finally, let's talk about choosing your export partner, because a strategy is only as good as its execution. Because look, superior product specs mean absolutely nothing if the milling consistency falls flat. That's why AHK Rice runs a highly rigorous process in Punjab, Pakistan. They meticulously clean, dehusk, dry, and polish the grain. Then they grade it by size, run it through advanced Sortex systems to pull out any discoloration, and thoroughly test for moisture and purity before it ever hits an export container. This intense quality control is what guarantees every shipment hits exact U.S. commercial specs. But it's way more than just the milling. AHK Rice offers the whole shebang when it comes to end-to-end support for U.S. importers. They provide customized, flexible packaging, so whether you want 1 kilogram branded, laminated retail bags for a supermarket or 40 kilogram socks for wholesale, they've got you covered. They handle the private label manufacturing, and, crucially, they provide complete export documentation. Nailing the phytosanitary certificates, certificates of origin, and bills of lading is absolutely essential if you want to dodge those massive demurrage charges at U.S. Customs. At the end of the day, your import strategy has to be dictated by your specific consumer base, not some generic product ranking. Premium retail growth favors 1121 because visual differentiation drives shelf value. Traditional ethnic distribution favors Super Kernel because aroma and heritage recognition create fierce brand loyalty. You have to know your customer and source accordingly. Which brings us to the million-dollar question to close out this explainer. As you sit down to evaluate your margins, your warehouse capacity, and your specific customer demographics, are you sourcing for shelf aesthetics or sensory nostalgia? Which path are you going to choose to conquer the U.S. premium market with AHK Rice? Thanks so much for tuning in, and here's to building a much more profitable import strategy.